So we now have our bomb class completely built. Now with the exception of our behaviors at the very bottom. But we don't actually know how to use them. We haven't done anything with them. We could have as many classes as we want, but unless we use them, they're useless. So at this point, they're just a bunch of blueprints sitting on a table. We need to take them and actually build something with them. Well, in our program, in our Kaboom program, the world class is going to handle that. For the basic intents and purposes of this demo, we're going to make the form the world class. So I'm just going to go over and I'm going to select the form, and this is going to represent our form. So just to clarify this and make this simpler to understand, we'll just rename this to world. So we understand what's going on, and yes, we want to make all the changes. So we can see that we actually have our world class. So there's no real functionality in here. This is basic. You'll notice that in the form, it also has a constructor. So every class has its own constructor. And it does call some different functionality. It doesn't set up any data, but it does call functionality, a Windows call to initialize component. We didn't need that in our class, but that's okay. So how do we actually use our bomb class? Well, we can do it a number of ways. We can create just a generic bomb, so we can create one individual bomb. So bomb is now its own data type. So we see bomb there. And I'm just going to call it my bomb. And I can create this data equals new bomb. And you'll see that I have two choices. One for the default constructor with no parameters, and one for the overloaded constructor, one with an image and a rectangle bounds. Now, of course, I haven't loaded any images yet, so this isn't going to work at this point. So what I can do is, if this is going to be a global bomb, I can actually just create the instance, but don't actually instantiate it yet. Instantiate it means define it and clearly declare it with all of its data and whatnot. Where would I do that? Well, I would usually do that in my load section. So for a form, that's usually the form load. So that would be in here, our load. In X and A, that would be your load content section. So in here, I can create my own bombs, but first I need an image. And because this is just a demonstration, I'm just going to set it equal to null. Doesn't really matter at this point. We just need to make sure we have an image object so we can actually put it in there. And I'm going to set up another rectangle, but I can do that later. So, how are we actually going to do this? Well, we want to set up our bomb. So we want to say my bomb equals new bomb. And I want to use option 2. So I need to specify the image. And then I also need to specify a rectangle. Now, I could do that right here on the spot. I could say new rectangle and give it whatever data I want for this bomb. So let's say it's 10 by 50 pixels, so 10 pixels over, 50 pixels down, and it's 100 pixels by 100 pixels wide. It's 190, 100 pixels wide. And now we have our bomb. We can actually start using that bomb to do whatever we want. So watch as I type in my bomb and I hit the dot. Remember, the dot means ownership. So when I hit this dot, it's going to show all of the functionality and data I have access to from that specific bomb. So we see we have the draw code and a few other generic Windows things, but we also have the ones we created. Get bomb state, get bounds, and start explosion, and update. The rest of them are generic Windows things. So, our generic class stuff. So what can I do with this? I can do whatever I want. So I can actually access the data, put it on the screen, or start manipulating this bomb in some way or another. Now this is fine if you want to create one bomb. Now Kaboom is a game of many bombs. In some levels there's like 50 bombs on a single level. So let's see how we can do that. Let's say instead of a single bomb, I want to create a list of bombs. List type bomb. And I'm going to call this bombs equals new list type bomb. Now, what I want to do is, let's say I wanted to create 50 bombs. I can do a simple for loop, for int I equals 0 such that I is less than 50. Oops, I plus plus. And inside of here, I just start specifying my new bomb. Essentially, I'm going to be doing this exact same line right here. So I'm actually going to copy and paste this and just modify it. So instead of saying my bomb, I'm literally going to say bombs.add new bomb. And then I'll just create that new bomb right inside of the functionality call. So I can say new bomb image. I'm going to keep the same image because it's going to be the same image for every single bomb. But then I need to change the rectangle. Otherwise, they're all just going to kind of spawn on top of one another. So just to simplify this process a little bit, what I'll do is I'll have them offset by like 5 pixels to the right each time. So that's done easily by saying 10 plus I times 5. So whatever I is, it's going to multiply that by 5 and then add that to 10. So they're actually going to be offset by 10 pixels each time. And what this will do is this will create our list of bombs. And so the bombs list actually now maintains an entire list of these objects. And again, we can do whatever we want with these things. So I can start looking at each individual one. Let's say bombs at 23 dot. And again, I get the exact same functionality. Nothing really different here. So it works in the exact same way. So this is actually how we use our classes. We can't just start using the bomb class and saying bomb dot stuff, because that's not really going to be functional. We need to create an instance. We need to create an object of that bomb class to be useful. Once we've created it, we have a link. We've set up a link from the world class to the bomb class. But what you need to remember is the world class has that link to the bomb class. So it's an arrow pointing from world to bomb. The thing is, the bomb has no idea that the world exists. The bomb is all on its own. It's its own entity. It may get instructions that say do this or do that, but it doesn't do anything unless it's told to. And it has no idea that the world exists. It's just doing exactly what it can. So that is the idea of working with our objects.